Now, let's go ahead and talk about how to pass our survey responses to Salesforce. In the Connect tab of the survey that you're going to build, this is where you can modify and enable all the integrations for your survey. Let's find Salesforce here. All right. So, on the topic of Salesforce, as the title of our webinar suggests, we recently taken some steps to improve integration with Salesforce. Or more like, well, we actually sort of rebuilt it from scratch with a new code. And thanks to this, we made sure to address any kind of previous reliability issues. And also we made sure that it will be easy for us to add new features to this integration in the future. Along with these updates, we also released a new feature, which is called Object Relationships right here. This feature essentially allows you to create and manage relationships between different objects in Salesforce while you are passing survey responses there. But we're going to talk about each of these options in a moment. All right, so my Salesforce integration is already authenticated, so I'm seeing the settings page. But authenticating the integration is as simple as logging into your Salesforce account. So it's like a one-click integration. All right, so let's talk about the survey plan. What do we plan to do here? Basically, the plan for the survey is to pass the responses to a custom object that I already have in Salesforce called MPS surveys. I already have the fields created in Salesforce as well as my custom object, so I'm just going to be like sort of connecting them here with the survey settings. And then I'm going to pass my MPS score to the object, MPS score object in an MPS survey object in the MPS score field. And I also want to pass the open-ended questions to my to Salesforce. For that, I'm going to use an MPS follow-up field. Let's go ahead and set up that settings together. So for the first, as I said, I want to first pass my first question, which is an MPS question. The object I'm going to use here is called an MPS survey, and the field that I want to pass my survey responses I called it MPS score. For today, I'm not going to pass second and third questions, but I only want to pass this open-ended feedback to Salesforce. So that's why I'm going to map the fourth and fifth questions as well. I'm going to use the same object to store my responses. This is a custom object, once again. And yes, follow up. And I'm going to map the fifth question to the same object as well. And same field, MPS follow-up. All right, before we move on, by default, we send the MPS field, MPS question field as the MPS group, but for the score, the field that I created in Salesforce, I want to send them as numeric values instead of mapped, their score group. So I'll just do that here before we move further. All right, now let's talk about object relationships. Basically, ideally, what I would like to do is to associate the contact and also the account that left the feedback with this custom object that I already have in Salesforce. So this is where this new feature of ours, object relationships, comes into place. So first, we need to pick the object that we have a relationship with, that we want to set up the relationship with. Basically, as long as you have a lookup relationship with your custom object and this object that you want to map the relationship, then you should be able to see this object in the drop-down field here. So in this case, I have a lookup relationship with account and contact object, so I'm seeing account and contact objects in the drop-down field. Let's go ahead and set up the object relationship. So my first object is the account object. The object that I'm going to match the relationship is the MPS survey object that I have, the custom one that I have in Salesforce, and the field is going to be the account field that I have in Salesforce. And next, let's also set up the contact object with the same. I'm seeing this object because this is the only object that I'm passing my survey response to. Then finally, relationship field is the contact object. All right, just to briefly go through also static values in Salesforce. I'm not going to, I don't want to pass my survey responses as a static value today, but static values essentially, they allow you to pass a field value regardless of the survey response. For example, if you want to mark every contact that participated in a given survey, then you can use a static field static mapping for that. Like in such case, let's say I want to pick the object, any object here, let's say let's pick contact object, field, I can pick, I don't know, maybe a field with survey, okay, survey taken, and the static field value would be, for example, the name of the survey that I'm mapping the static value. But as I mentioned, for today, we are not going to be doing that.